Well, happy, beautiful, amazing day. Dr. Bob Rakowski here with this episode of the Dr. Bob Rakowski Podcast. And what an interesting and powerful and amazing guest, Dr. Robert Ciprian. He has the book, Heal Profoundly, which, by the way, the subtitle, basically a graffiti thug artist. Go with that subtitle on that because I don't have it memorized, but I remember it certainly caught my eye, and it a lot, made me reach out to you the first time I read that. So, Robert, welcome, and let's talk about healing profoundly.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you, Dr. Bob. Yes.
So let's go from graffiti thug artist to a holistic doctor. How did that happen?
That's a long story. And I grew up in Queens, New York, grew up as a gang member, and I got into graffiti. And at one time in the early 90s, I was internationally known. I was on the news and newspapers, I was on videos and stuff like that and everything for graffiti in New York. And it was a lot. It was very stressful. I had a lot going on, and I had kind of a spiritual awakening. And that just kind of drove me to leave New York, go to the West Coast, go to Los Angeles, become a doctor. And I thought I was just going to do sports medicine, but no. As soon as I got to Los Angeles, I met Dr. Howard Cohn, and he showed me a lot more toward healing than I ever would have known. So yeah, I got into all aspects of healing and still diving deep into that every day.
Well, I want to move into that direction, but how does one become a graffiti artist? How does one get discovered as a graffiti artist? How does one not run away when they're caught as a graffiti artist and then they become world famous? How did that happen?
So just growing up in my neighborhood in Queens, New York, there was graffiti all around. And by the time we're like 12, 13, we're doing it a little bit here and there. And then a documentary came out called Style Wars, and a couple published books with art graffiti photography came out. And that inspired me as an artist. And I kind of broke out of my neighborhood where it was just kind of like gang stuff and more just vandalism graffiti. And I started searching around New York City to find the artists that were doing the real artistic stuff. And it was still illegal, of course. So I was on the trains, on the rooftops, on the highways, on the trucks, doing all this stuff, risking my life to do artwork. And just because of that and getting my name out there were kind of beautiful things, like in the middle of the night, that kind of just got a name for myself. And yeah, just the connections of the people also who I was painting with, who were some of the top world-known artists in New York at the time too. And to this day, I still do artwork. I love it. Of course, now I've had like legal art shows and doing art legally and stuff like that. I've also gotten into some clothes designing and other stuff too. Art's always in my blood. I think it helps me with healing too.
Well, I really think everything's an art. Christopher Walken in the book movie Man on Fire with Denzel Washington, he's got a very famous quote. He says, "Every man's an artist. Some men cook, some men clean." And then he said, Cruzy, that was Denzel's name of the movie. His art is death. And he did paint his masterpiece or create his masterpiece that weekend. So now you go from a graffiti thug artist, even though apparently very talented. So what was the spiritual awakening? What happened exactly?
Oh, I've always, as a little child, been kind of a little bit more spiritually aware, a little bit more on the mystical side of things. I just have out-of-body experiences as a child. I would go into different kind of dream worlds, be in different maybe dimensions, you would call them. And a couple events happened just in Queens, New York, hanging out with all my friends, be out like just intoxicated, being high, whatever, where literally at one point, I think something that was an angel actually came to me and my group of friends. They all saw it too, and it stopped all of us. And he pointed me out and said, I better move forward with my life and get things together. It shocked me. It went through my whole being. Everyone else saw it too. This man walked away, walked around the corner, and all my friends are laughing. And I'm like, he shook me so much, I went to look around the corner to see where he is. There was no one there. And many other experiences. As I met different mentors on my path in life, I've always been guided. And luckily, too, in the more dangerous parts of my life has always been protected also. And but I'm going towards something. I don't know what it is yet, but day by day, I just kind of connect as good as I can with God, with the universe, with nature, and just see where I'm supposed to be going every day.
We can get a little bit philosophical here because I just happen to think that we all have that guidance available to us.
We do.
but you did something different. Guidance came and you followed it. So I want to know why, because I'm pretty convinced we're all guided. What led you to say yes and follow it?
Well, I believe within our being, we have what we call nowadays, like with these things, a GPS. Like you get anywhere nowadays without your phone telling you where to go. I feel we have that within us. When we feel enthusiasm for something, that's our GPS saying, go that way. And it might not be the end all of where you're supposed to go, but it's the next step, the next step. It's like your GPS telling you make a right, make a left, go back, whatever. That enthusiasm within your being is telling you where to go every step of the way. And I try to help a lot of other people with this in life too, is my later years now here, I'm not so much doing like the chiropractic work anymore, but I'm helping more people on a bigger level in their life.
So how did you choose Southern California? You're in New York, you're in a pretty rough town, and suddenly you're going to move out to California. That's a pretty big switch.
Yeah, first I was going to go up to Connecticut to go become a doctor of chiropractic, but within 6 months, I lost my job in New York. My girlfriend at the time dumped me and my father was killed. I'm just like, I'm getting as far away from New York as I can. So I'm like, California, just moved there. And yeah, I just wound up in Cleveland Chiropractic College of Los Angeles. And within just a couple of months, I started meeting some of my mentors, the first one being Dr. Howard Cohn. And from there, I just met a whole plethora of other just amazing, magical people who helped steer my life also.
And how did you meet Dr. Cohn?
Came to speak at my school.
Okay. Well, he's certainly one of those absolutely incredible, charismatic, amazing characters. So did he have a particular message that resonated with you, in that conversation that you said, I'm going to learn more from this guy?
Well, I just went to see what he was doing in his office, because he kept saying like he does things differently and he has this, practice where he gets just this many new patients a month and everything. I'm like, all right, let me see what he's doing. He was doing muscle testing, testing nutrients, testing emotions on people, changing their body right in front of me, more flexibility. And I was just like, that's what I need to do. And he pointed me towards other mentors. Like also I met Dr. Goodhart, Dr. Scott Walker, Dr. Victor Frank, Dr. Timothy Francis. It goes on and on and on. He just showed me everyone else to go and learn from also.
One of my favorite authors is a guy named Andy Andrews. He's got a little book called Change. And he says, there's a lot of myths about change, but there's only two things that have to happen for change really to happen. Number one, what's in it for me? And two, social proof. So he gave you some social proof right then and there. I guess between the muscle testing, you said range of motion, strength, things changing pretty quickly. So what of that have you adopted? What's your method of assessing and moving people forward and getting leverage to get them to take action?
The first thing is to sit down and talk with them, feel who they are, see how they talk, see how they carry themselves. And from that, between my just knowing the body and my intuition, I could just kind of start feeling where a person's at just from there. And just that kind of guides me into where to go with somebody. Then, of course, if I'm working with them physically in person, the acupuncture meridians and just kind of seeing other big systems aren't working in the body. And, it's amazing. Health is really simple. The mainstream media seems it's so on the opposite side of things, but if you look at a few basics in people's well-being, health is a really simple thing.
So what are those basics?
Eating good, clean, healthy, natural food that's fresh, drinking water, getting enough rest, getting just some good exercise and movement in your life. And the fifth one, number 5, is some sort of practice, a meditation, a focus, something where you just turn off life for even just 10 minutes a day and just focus on you and the inner you and just feel yourself.
Robin Sharma talks about the 4 interior empires, and you've covered them all there: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. So why do you think that practice is so important, and how many people are doing it, and how can one get started?
Whenever I ask people, do you meditate? Oh, I used to, it's maybe 10-50% say they do on a regular basis, but always I've tried it, I've used to do it, blah 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 blah. And people don't realize how important it is in their life. I think I've been meditating close to 30 years. And I couldn't imagine my life without it. And so every morning I wake up early before I got to do anything. I walk through a beautiful park with beautiful big trees for over a mile, first thing in the morning with a book. And I just walk through nature just to have my own kind of starting my own day reset and to feel myself. And then I'll go have a cup of coffee somewhere, read for maybe half hour, an hour, and walk back again. Move more people out at that time and kind of just walking through the park again. But that's my reset every day, is to just get out there, be by myself for just a few minutes and just, feel me and also feel nature around me too, which is another important aspect is, we are nature. Nature is us. We're a reflection of nature, and nature could teach us so much.
Well, I'm trying to think. It was Rumi that actually said that we are the entire ocean in a drop, right? Everything is absolutely connected. And while you mentioned your coffee, we are sponsored by bettercoffeeshop.com, the world's top organic reishi infused coffee. Go to bettercoffeeshop.com. Take our 1-box challenge, 100% money back guaranteed. You'll definitely start your day better. So with that said, now 30 years, and it's is it a walking meditation, or do you actually sit down and, Joe Dispenza is a huge fan. I'll tell you what, I'm a lot better at a swimming meditation or an exercise meditation or walking meditation. But let's talk through those types of things. Are you meditating while you're walking, or what do you recommend?
I try to just meditate in whatever I'm doing during the day. But if you're just starting out, start with just sitting or start with just laying down. I first started yoga back in '97, about the same time I went to school in Los Angeles. And I didn't notice at this time, but I went to this yoga guy that some people from the school recommended, this guy, Brian Kest. I didn't know he was anyone special. But all the celebrities were there, everybody in music, everyone who was somebody was at this guy's yoga class. He didn't charge, it was donation basis only, but there was a line around the block and he had to cut it off at a certain point saying, sorry, there's no more room. That's how popular he was. And he would tell us as we're going through yoga, doing all this stuff and breathing, doing exercises, he goes, it doesn't matter what you could do in here. All that matters is if you could apply this to your life once you go back out there. And that's what meditation should be, not sitting somewhere in a peaceful room or in a mountaintop or in a cave where you can get into this beautiful place, but can you carry that through your day and into the outside world? And when something comes up in your life that kind of knocks you off balance, can you remember who you really are inside and just go back to that and be that during those challenging times or when you have to make important decisions or whenever?
Well, there's a book that I really like. My favorite author, Tom Morris. It's called The Oasis Within. And it's an 8-novel series. It starts out in ancient Egypt in the 1930s. And there's a elderly uncle with his nephew. They stop at an oasis. After a couple of rough days in the desert, the nephew looks at the uncle. He says, "Uncle, why do we need to go anywhere? It's so beautiful here. Why can't we just stay?" And that was his comment. He says, "Look, we all have an oasis within. And the secret to life is to carry us wherever we go and to find a way to access it whenever we need to." So pretty fascinating that you've got that since the 1990s. If you had a guy not charging and a room, a line around the block for him, what do you think was so different about what he was offering?
He was your transportation to something different than what was going on in Los Angeles at the time. He showed you not just be focused on the whole outside world, but to be focused on the inside world. And he ruined me. He was my first ever yoga instructor. And ever since I've tried some other yoga instructors, I'm like, I can't do this. This isn't what I know yoga is. This man lived in India practicing with a master real deal there. He didn't just learn from some yoga school in the US. He learned in India, brought it back to the US, and he just, created a little empire for himself. He's immensely successful. And, he didn't charge, but he had a donation box on the way out. And if donations were a little bit low, he'd tell people, hey, we got to get this up a little bit. If it's fine, he's like, hey, we're doing good, guys. You know what I mean? Like, he would tell everybody how he's doing.
I've got a friend that seems to be cut out of the same mold, and he takes donations, and he's treated a few celebrities, and at times one of those donations comes out to have 5 figures or more. So, sometimes you just got to wonder, do we have the sense that the universe will provide, that God will provide, that, hey, if I just say I'm going to offer something of value and you pay what you think it's worth, maybe that would be a better way for all of us to go about our entire existence.
Just focusing on that exchange of energy. What are you giving out? That's what you should be receiving back, right?
So when you described your practice a little bit just a few moments ago, are you in person, virtual, or a blend of both?
I'm a blend of lots of different things right now. Yeah, I'm kind of semi-retired as a chiropractor. I'm helping out in a couple of different offices, just a little bit but more focusing the emotional, energetic work and stuff like that. And I work with people worldwide over Zoom too.
Now, working with people in person, I find the in-person for me is a lot more valuable, but do you have any tricks for virtual that allows you to connect with that patient at a deeper level and move them forward?
Yeah, well, again, meditating, because you could feel yourself then. If you could feel yourself, you could talk to somebody, even if it's through a computer screen or even over the phone without seeing them, you could feel what's going on with them, you know? And it was something I thought was a curse when I was younger. I thought I just had anxiety and all these other things and ADD and all this stuff. But one of my first spiritual teachers, she's like, no, Robert, you're feeling everyone around you. You're feeling everyone in the room. You're feeling people you're connected to that are having their issues. That's not you, that's them. So I had to figure out always, all right, is that someone else or is that me feeling that? And then once I kind of get that more and more, I can plug into someone else and feel what they're feeling when I need to.
Now that one, they refer to people as empaths. You've probably heard that term, right?
Yeah.
And most people I know that have that gift, I don't know that they've yet figured out that it is a gift. They tend to think it's more of a little bit of a curse. So I'm sure there are quite a few people that will hear this. They'll go, you know what? I feel what other people feel. So tell me, how did you recognize it? How did you learn to use it to help them to get better? And maybe most importantly, protect yourself, because that's ultimately what we all need to do.
Well, to use it better, again, just ask yourself, start practicing. Is this what I'm feeling or is this someone else? And you'll start noticing, you'll just get a message in your body. Oh, that's not me. That's my mom I talked to this morning. That's this client. That's whatever, the neighbor. And then you feel like, okay, it's me. I got some work to do on myself. But also, what was the second part of the question you asked me again?
How do you protect yourself?
Oh, protect myself. Yeah. So, you just have to have your presence. Your presence means you're fully embodied, you're fully aware of you, but you're coming from a higher vibrational internal love energy, which is the real us. And when you're in that presence, you're literally in an offensive energy. So nothing can really get to you and harm you because everything's coming out to the world. So things can't really come in and mess with you. But it's to stay in that presence is practice. But that presence also has healing. I've been in the room with people who just have that presence and they could heal people just from being in the room with them. And it's one of the most beautiful, amazing things I've ever experienced.
Now, the next question I might have is, how do you actually monetize that? Do you ask for donations, or I guess people are scheduling an appointment with you? But when I'm around those people, that it just feels good to be in the room with them. I mean, in some ways they could charge to be there, but that might take things to a whole new level. So, these people do experience profound healing. Is that how they're showing up? Are they actually wanting to be healers, or are they just teachers or spiritual guides, or a little bit all the above?
Yeah, well, this woman I'm talking about, her name's Sasha Cobra. She helps people with healing. She guides people to their own healing and stuff like that. But like I said, she's just sitting there in the room. You could feel the presence of her, and she could literally change nature. She could change people. It's an amazing thing, and I've had some miraculous experiences with her. You talked about within the ocean you are a drop, but within a drop you are the whole ocean. I've experienced that, and I experienced just consciousness, just a point of consciousness in a sea never ending in all different directions. from one of our retreats I was in, and it was life changing for me too. When I thought my life was already so changed and I was so far and so advanced, that hit me and I was just like, all right, now I got to figure out my whole life again at a whole new level. So she was teaching people how to have this presence, how to have it for yourself, how to work on other people with it, and kind of teaching you what it really means to be human, how to interact with other humans, how to see them, how to help them, but how to help yourself and see yourself too.
Now let's go to guiding people to getting that sense that they can essentially achieve anything, that they do have that oasis within. What are your strategies to do that?
Again, start meditating, start learning to just close down the outside world, even if it's just for 10 minutes. And it's not going to be perfect because that's the way our mind is, but we're sitting there trying to meditate and be peaceful. Thought comes up. Okay, thank you. Just let it go. Just observe them going by as if, say you're on the train and you're just seeing the stations go by, but you're not getting off at that station. Okay, that one's going by, that one's going by, fine. But just stay in your intent and your presence of, this is where I am, and I'm going from whatever, this time to this time, and I'm just going to observe these things go by, and I'm going to breathe and just feel good within myself. Because we got to train the nervous system. It's like a muscle. It's like going to the gym. You don't just go to the gym once or twice and your whole being is changed. No, you got to keep doing it repetitively. And safety of meditation, same thing with healing. Healing has to be a lifestyle. If you really want to heal yourself, it has to be a lifestyle. You can't just go and, I just got an adjustment, or I got, some muscle work, or I got my chakra work done. No, you got to keep doing those things as a lifestyle to really, really get into healing for yourself.
I'm thinking of a couple different things. Wayne Dyer, is certainly one of my favorite authors. And he was talking about when he would talk to Deepak Chopra, whenever he have a challenge, he'd talk to Deepak. He says, Deepak, what do I do? And Deepak always had a one-word answer: meditate, meditate, meditate. And there certainly seems to be a lot of power to that. Sadhguru, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but someone asked Sadhguru one time, Sadhguru, how do I stop my mind? He says, well, that's not hard. First, stop your liver, then stop your kidneys. Don't worry about it. Your mind will stop, right? But no, he said, why would you stop your mind? Think of like Los Angeles traffic, and it's very busy and it's very chaotic. But he says you could get up in a hot air balloon and enjoy that busyness. Yeah. And that was one of the best meditation hacks or visuals that I ever heard. So now, what type of hacks do you have? Do you recommend a routine? Do people get in a quiet spot? Do they walk around? Do they eat or drink something beforehand? Do they need to do it fasting? Should it be first thing in the morning, last thing of the day? Does it matter? What type of program do you set up?
I like to use a feeling state for myself. I'm kind of ADD, so for me to just sit there and try to not focus on anything doesn't work. But when I give myself an activity, it helps a lot more. Plus, it just focuses me more feeling on what's in here. Because really what should be in here is this juicy, feel-good state that we all were as a child. And we've lost that as we grew up through school, be told, be quiet, sit down, be quiet, eat your food, no, get back in here, don't play. We lost that just freedom and just kind of spiritualness to ourselves that we have as a child naturally. So a very easy thing to do meditating is if you're just sitting and you're just going to breathe into your belly, say you're just going to do that for 10 minutes, nothing weird and spiritual, just breathe nice, big, full breath into your belly and then just let it out. But as you breathe in, feel very good, like sensual energy coming into your body. Feel it in your legs, your belly, up into your chest. And as you breathe out, feel your body just relax more. So just breathing in, just feel how good that feels. Just picture when you breathe in, it's very sensual and feel good. And when you breathe out, just let your whole body relax a little bit more. And we can get into this state where it's almost like making love to ourselves as we're meditating. That can be very enjoying. And there's other things.
What a great description of that, and it shouldn't it be that way. One of my favorite quotes ever from Agmandino in his Greatest Salesman in the World, he talks about love, and he says, and most of all, I will love myself, for when I do, I will zealously inspect all things that I allow to enter my mind, my heart, my soul, and my body. And what an interesting term, make love to yourself. How about with everything that you put in? I remember someone saying, I don't choose to love food that doesn't love me back. So why not do that with thoughts and action and deeds and let that be the ultimate driving force, interestingly enough. So how about a couple of different examples, case studies, people that you saw maybe with different circumstances that had bounced a little bit here, there, and everywhere without finding an answer, when really the answer was with them the whole time? You got a couple cases you'd like to share?
I have a lot. One that comes to mind, I wrote about my book because it was just so profound, and I didn't even get to treat the woman. So I was in Los Angeles at the time, fresh out of school, and this woman wanted to come in for her first visit, and her mom was making the appointment for her. The young woman just started a new job, but she had this anxiety, and they were afraid she's going to blow the job because she can't really function. She has anxiety and everything, and booked an 1.5-hour appointment for her first initial intake. She shows up an hour late, and I have a half hour with her. And she's all freaking out with her. I say, look, sit down, relax. Tell me, what are you eating? Blah, blah, blah. I said, look, eat some good whole food, snack every 2 hours. I'm going to recommend this supplement for you. It's going to help your thyroid a little bit. I just checked her meridians really quick. That was the weakest point, was her thyroid. Come back in 2 weeks. We'll pick up from here. But that's all I could do for you today. All I got is a half hour. Next week, she never came back. She calls. She goes, I'm feeling better. Everything's fine. So yeah, just that simple. Eating every couple hours, eating good whole food, a little bit something for a thyroid, just changed the person's life. It never hurt them again.
Well, Confucius said 5,000 years ago, progress is the complication of simplicity. But what I want to share is fascinating is pulse point diagnoses. Myself, Dr. Howard Cohn, we've studied these types of things. It's quite hard to get the subtleties down of pulse point diagnoses. So maybe describe that. I mean, in acupuncture, they look at people, they smell people, they talk to people, they take their pulses. So what exactly did you feel that led you to the thyroid? And is that one of your favorite interventions with patients? Is that how you like to assess them?
Well, I'd like to look at that first of all, because wherever you find the deficiency is in the body is usually a block related to that. And then you can figure out if you need to go through, and this is my thing of just about what is really holistic. Is that block related to a structural, a biochemical, a mental, emotional, or an energetic issue? So from there, you kind of see what's blocked, why is it blocked, or is it, usually it's a combination of all these things. And from there, it could help them get it going. But for long-term healing, if you look at those 4 things, the structural, biochemical, emotional, and genetic, it's like a square. But if you take all points of the square and bring it up to the top like a pyramid, the top of the pyramid is the person's willpower to make a change, to keep their life going, and to make healing really like we talked about, a habit, a lifestyle. And from there, that willpower will keep all those things going always, of course, with help of someone coaching them on what to do. But just finding what that pulse point is. I'll tell you the truth. I muscle test them. I do feel them at times. I haven't trained 20 years of the subtleties of them, but I muscle test them. And from there, that's easy for me.
Yeah. Well, muscle test can easily tell if there's more energy than should be in the system or less energy, right? That's more obvious to me than palpation. So you're working on another book.
Yes, I'm working on a book that deals more, it's more geared toward men to help with aspects of masculine that are more natural to men, and also more from a spiritual point of view of the masculinity and stuff like that. So yeah, because I feel it's really needed with men in these times in our world.
That's becoming a very, very powerful theme. In fact, I can't even tell you how many men I've talked to recently that are seeing that as a need for our world. Masculinity shouldn't be toxic. It could be, right? But we have men, we have women, we have different strengths, and we have it for different reasons. Robert, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Oh, my website is healprofoundly.com. And it's similar on Instagram too, heal_profoundly. And yeah, that's the name of my first book and website. And I just kind of figured, I see a lot of people going through healing in life, but I'm always kind of like, but are you healing profoundly? Is it making a big difference? Or are you getting the 10% little changes, or are you getting the big 80% or more changes? I mean, to me, that's what profoundly healing is about.
Yep, you're talking about that big quantum leap that we all can have available to ourselves. I might add, and I might just finish with that question: who is that available to?
The quantum leap?
Sure.
Anybody with the willpower to keep working at it, to figure it out, figure out what their next step is. That's what it all comes to. It comes to about here. Do you have the willpower to keep going in life? Those are the people that I see that no matter what, they're going to get well. And the people that don't get well, they just don't have the willpower to do it for some reason.
Yep. I'm going to go back to, gosh, why am I stuck for his name for the name? Bernie Siegel, in his book, Love, Medicine, and Miracles. He was asked, what's the top prognostic indicator for cancer patients? Their answer to the question, do you want to live to be 100? And I like how you put that as the apex of essentially the pyramid: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. But the willpower can bring it all together and take us to our highest level of healing. So, the time absolutely flew. We're at that magic 30 minutes for a conversation. Any final words of wisdom as we wrap this day up?
Just start looking within.
I like it. That is the answer, isn't it? So I'm going to encourage everyone to heal profoundly, healprofoundly.com. And as always, I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful.